On this week's show, we reveal the exact steps to getting below market value properties.
We meet the investor who moved to the UK just a few years ago, couldn't speak a word of English, and is now a successful property investor.
And in the news, people are now getting 100% mortgages, and we share how you can too. Welcome to the Property Investors Podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're here every single Friday at 4 p.m. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an upload. You can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Enjoy this week's show and don't forget to share it with all your friends. Hi, I'm Russell Leeds.
I'm Alistair Cunningham.
And welcome to the Property Investors Podcast. We've got a fantastic show coming up. And how are you, my friend? Have you had a good week?
I've had a good week. What about yourself? What have you been up to?
I was in London over the weekend.
I know. I saw your postings on social media.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
What were you down there for?
So, a couple of things. So, as you know, it was my birthday a couple of weeks ago.
It was. I came to your birthday party.
You did indeed.
He
actually got me a really nice present.
Oh, thanks.
He got me the best present I had was from Alistair.
Oh, that's nice, man. That's nice.
So we don't talk about that present, do we?
Why not?
Do you want to tell them what it was?
Oh, we can if you want. Don't bother me.
Tell them.
Oh, it was just a bottle of Scotland's finest whiskey.
Yeah, but it wasn't just a bottle, was it?
Oh no, and some glasses.
No, it was a very special bottle. It had my name on it.
Oh yes, yeah, it was personalised. Yeah.
And it was from 1947. So
it
was like before I was born.
Oh. Hey, you can't take the piss out of me from age now because you're now in your 30s. So we're both in the same age bracket.
I'm 30. I'm not in my 30s. 30s would mean like 31, 32.
Nah, you're in your 30s, man.
Hold on. You can't be in your 30s when you're 30.
You're 30.
There's no plural, is there?
The age starts with a 3, so you're in your 30s, man.
I'm 30, not 30s.
Downhill from here, mate. Downhill.
Well, I can see. I'm only playing. It was. I suppose I am technically now in my 30s. Anyway, one of the presents that I had was an all-day salsa. It was the salsa crash course.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah, so that was in London. Actually, it was a little place you should go.
Okay.
You don't dance, do you?
I do when I've had a few drinks and I'm at a nightclub.
You should go. He didn't dance at my party. Samuel did. Samuel filmed himself on Facebook Live dancing at our party. Anyway, a place called it's Salsa Charing Cross. It's like a salsa bar. They do the salsa classes. They have like really nice food on. So we had like a tapas lunch. It was an all-day crash course. The guy was a great teacher, so that was quite fun. Half 10 till 5:30.
Cool.
So it was a lot of dancing, a lot of staying on. My feet were like killing me. I wish I hadn't. Why I wore suit shoes, I do not know.
Oh really?
And then went to see Lion King in the evening.
Oh, Lion King's good. At Lyceum. Lyceum Theatre.
Yes.
Yeah, by Strand.
Yeah. I stayed at the Strand Palace Hotel, which was literally next door to the theatre.
Me, Lisa, and the girls went to see Lion King a few years ago, and we booked a box. Do you know, just up on by the stage?
Oh, he's a posh kid.
No, actually, probably the worst seats in the house. They're not actually that good because if you imagine the stage is here, you're sat in a box here. You can't actually see. You have to literally hang over the edge to see. Yeah, it was.
How much were the tickets?
I think it was like £400 or something. It was quite expensive. It wasn't. How much are the normal tickets? Because we were like double.
We were sitting about 4 rows back, kind of in the middle. It was pretty good seats.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. Anna bought it, I don't actually know. Maybe I think it's 100 quid a ticket.
Yeah. I mean, the box was not, and we booked it like last minute, so we did get a little bit of bargain, but it wasn't. It would have been cheaper for us and probably better for us to sit in the main audience.
There you go. You heard it here first. Do not get a box.
I wouldn't. Not at the Lyceum. We sat in the one on the left. Stage left on the just one up.
Did you have someone come in your box waving around birds and stuff?
Yeah. That was good. So before the show starts, or they shut all the doors and they have all the people waving stuff around, and they come through the audience.
It's quite interesting. I have seen it before. I saw it about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
When it first came out, but I couldn't really remember it. So yeah, really good. So I had a really good weekend. How about yourself?
Yeah, it was all right. I just had a really chill, relaxing weekend. Lisa was away. She was in Manchester for the weekend, seeing her brother. So I just was looking after Isabel. We just pottered around, went shopping, done a few little bits like that.
Amazing.
Not really. It was actually very boring. But it was very relaxing because Isabel, my youngest, she's 12. She's very much into like just playing with friends and watching YouTube and playing on our computer. So it's cool, man. But I did catch up on a lot of paperwork and stuff, which is riveting, very exciting. But yeah, so it's cool.
Nice, good. Sounds amazing.
Well, exciting.
Sounds brilliant. Thank you for sharing. Right, so we're going to start off. We're going to talk about below market value properties, how you can get them.
Yeah.
What I like about below market value properties, if you've got the skill of being able to find these deals and negotiate, you can literally apply it to any property at all.
100%.
So whether your strategy is service accommodation, HMOs, single lets, whatever, it doesn't matter what it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got the skill of being able to negotiate down, you can
think
apply it to everything.
Ultimately, it comes down to sales. I think it does. It comes down to being a salesman, being a little bit of a salesman, and being a little bit cheeky and a little bit sort of bit out there.
Are you a little bit cheeky?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to be. You have to be. If you want to get the deal, you have to be. Without obviously being immoral about it, you have to be. So, like, I mean, for instance, I've secured many below market value deals.
Can you be immoral about it though? Because if at the end of the day, if they would rather sell to you than not sell at all,
yeah. No, there is people could be quite immoral about it if they chose to be.
How?
Well, if you're like a bit of a, if you're a bit ruthless and you're making, say for instance, you've got somebody that's a very motivated seller because they're in arrears and because of whatever, they've got issues going on and they have to sell. There's some unscrupulous people out there that could quite easily take advantage of them and force them down in price because they're making out it's their only option and things like that. So just don't do it.
Okay, so but I kind of know what you mean. But the other alternative, if you didn't buy it at all, would that be immoral?
Well, yeah, it depends. If they're taking advantage of something, it's immoral. At the end of it, really.
Question there. Let's say someone in a bad situation. Yeah, and they need to sell.
Yeah.
Right, and you are interested in buying it, but for the deal to stack, you're going to have to knock them down on value.
Yeah.
Right. So what is more immoral? Not buying it,
Yeah.
because you don't want to knock them down on price.
Yeah.
Or buying it and knocking them down.
Okay, so what if it happened that... Okay, so what happens if the person that's buying it...
Well, let me just answer my question. Don't change
But it's not a straightforward question.
It's a pretty straightforward question.
Okay, so it depends on the situation at the time. But if the people buying it get the vendor who's selling it to, say for instance, sell it for less than what they would need to pay off their bills or mortgage because they've sort of talked them into it the wrong way, then that's immoral.
That's not answering my question at all.
All right, your question. What was your question again?
Right. So my question is, you've got a house, right? They're trying to sell it. They're desperate to sell it for whatever reason. You, Mr. Investor, want to buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah? But for the deal to stack for you, to be a good deal for you, because you only want a deal that makes you 20% ROI or whatever it is that you want to invest in, yeah? For the deal to stack to you, you need to get it at a certain price.
Yeah.
Now, that is less than they want.
Yeah.
Right? So what is more immoral? Walking away and not buying it, therefore they're screwed at this point because they need to sell it.
It's not a straightforward answer.
Well, or because this is the thing, right? If you didn't buy it, no one would say that was immoral. That would they?
No, of course they wouldn't.
Everyone would be like, no, he did the right thing.
Look, everybody can probably talk about win-win, right? So if it's a win-win for both, if the sale price suits the vendor.
What about if it's a win-lose, but if you didn't do it, it'd be a win, really big lose?
It's a win-lose. I wouldn't do it because it's not fair on the vendor.
You let them have a really big lose instead.
Let who have? Oh, the vendor or the investor?
The vendor.
Surely there's something
this
out
is my
there.
issue. Everyone talks about, like, I'm not saying you want to take advantage of people. I'm not suggesting that, but everyone's always like, oh, don't knock them down. But the alternative is, if it doesn't work for you, they don't have to accept.
No, they don't have to accept.
They don't have to sell it to you.
Yeah.
If they're choosing to sell it to you over not selling it to you, then even if it's not a great deal for them, it's more of a good deal for them than not selling it.
Yeah, of course. But if it leaves them in a worse financial situation, then it's not.
Well, it wouldn't leave them in a worse.
Of course it could.
Because they don't sell it then.
Yeah, but they might feel that they have to sell it because it's the only option.
Well, if they have to sell it as the only option, then you're bailing them out.
You're not listening to what I'm saying.
I am.
What I
I'm
mean
totally listening.
is if an investor comes along and makes them believe it's the only option, then that's immoral.
So you're manipulating them.
If they're manipulating them into taking an offer that would mean that they still owe 10 grand on the mortgage, then that's not moral in my opinion.
So you'd make the offer, but you wouldn't manipulate them into.
I wouldn't. I'm all for below market value for motivated sales, 100%. You just got to do it. So like we all go on about win-win. Everyone goes on about win-win. It's not a win-win if the vendor's left with 10 grand debt or 8 grand or 7 or 6 grand debt, however much, and the investors sitting there rubbing their hands going, yeah, this is great. That's not a win-win. That's a win-lose. If it's a win-win, brilliant. If the vendor is happy with what they've got it and it covers all their bills, whatever, and they're left with some money or they're left not out of pocket, then that's fine.
Okay.
But if they're left out of pocket, I think it's
yeah, I think we're on a similar page. I get what you're saying.
A little bit immoral.
Okay. So how do you get these below market value deals then without being immoral or being a douchebag? Yeah. Here's a question as well.
Yeah.
Would you be a douchebag if it was a company rather than an individual?
Yeah, that's different. No, that's completely different.
Okay. Completely
different. Yeah, if it's a company, I wouldn't be immoral, but I'd be a lot harder comparing like being a company selling a house to like old Doris in her house in her little bungalow who's selling it because she can't afford it is very, very different. But yeah, no, company, I'd be ruthless.
Okay.
No point. There's no two ways about it.
Well, why don't you give us an example of a BMV property that you've secured and how you did it?
Right. Okay. So I've got one in Buckinghamshire, and in the street, the houses have been selling for anywhere between 350 and 380, and it's a 3-bed end terraced. It's been
350, 380. Okay.
Yeah. So it's been completely gutted. It's been empty for about 3 years.
Yeah.
The guy inherited it, and he's done nothing with it since.
Not even rented it out.
It's done nothing.
It's been empty.
Literally, it's been empty for 3 years. It's been broken into. Somebody's had all the copper away, so they've had the boiler system out.
Who did that?
Just some unruly people. Some, I don't know. Somebody who weighs copper in. Anyway, they've nicked all the heating system. They've nicked all the copper and things like that. And they've trashed it. And somebody had a little bonfire inside as well. So like,
bonfire inside the house
in the front room.
Oh
so
my days. In the fireplace or
in the middle of the floor. So obviously, probably druggies have got in there and they've had they've started a little fire and all the middle in the front room. Yeah. The floorboards in the middle are all burned where they've obviously had it in a pot or something, but the burning's gone underneath. Anyway, so like I say, worth 350 to 380.
And not in its current condition.
No, in its current condition, we've got it secured at 165.
Wow.
Yeah.
But it's not gonna cost you 200 grand to do it up, is it?
No, it's gonna cost 50, 60 grand. We've got builders in there at the minute quoting to do a full refurb on it. So it needs a full refurb. It needs floors.
Are you selling this deal?
No, we're going to probably buy it ourselves.
You yourself?
Yeah, of course we are. We're not going to sell that one. It's a cracker, mate. And just so you guys are aware, can I tell you how this deal come about? It came about by I was invited to speak at an event, and I spoke at an event, and I got approached by somebody. I don't know if you ever.
More importantly, though, for someone watching this, because they're probably not going to speak in at events.
Right. Okay.
How did the conversation go?
Right.
When so they said, "We've got this. How much are they trying to sell it for?"
No, I was getting there, but you just rudely interrupted me.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. So I was speaking at this event, and I got approached at the end by somebody who sat there literally for an hour when I was speaking, with his arms crossed, and I actually thought he really didn't like me, but he come up to me at the end and he goes, "I really like what you do. I've got a house. Are you interested in buying it?" So when we started chatting about the deal and how much you want. And he said to me, look, he goes, I need to sell it because it's been empty for 3 years. It's doing nothing. He lives up in Manchester. This house is in Buckinghamshire. It was his mum and dad's house. They both passed away 3 years ago. It's been sat empty for ever since. And I said, great, how much do you want for it? And he literally, it was just, I'm talking fag packet calculations. So we were in this thing. Just run a few numbers, back of a little bit of paper. And he said, look, I want 160, 165 for it. He goes, it's worth probably about 300, 320. But he goes, it does need he was quoted 70 to 80,000 pound, to an okay standard. And I said, right, okay. So instantly I'm thinking, hang about, okay. So all he wanted was 160, 165. That's all he wanted. And it's unencumbered. He gets 165 grand for it. So he cannot afford to do any of the work.
See, what you did that was clever.
Can I just tell you something else after what you've said? Go on.
Do you want me to make you look clever first?
Go on, then. Make me look really good first.
Okay, it's gonna be hard.
Then I'll ruin it. Then I'll ruin it.
Okay, what you did that was clever though was you asked him what he wanted.
Yeah.
So you didn't say, And this is one of the key points there.
I think so.
Is you didn't say, well, let's have a look at it. Okay, I could maybe offer you, 200 in your head, thinking I could do it for 50. That way you just said, what do you want? And then he came up with a figure, and obviously you were happy with that.
Yeah, 100%.
If you were ruthless, you could have knocked him down a bit more, but,
There's no point.
There's no point.
Do you know, what's the point? Even if I could buy that. I have an investor. I could buy that today at 160, and I could probably sell it tomorrow for 250. And you're still leaving cushion for an investor to come along and put 50 grand into it and still make 50 grand.
Yeah.
And I could...
No, it's a really good deal, mate.
Right,
it's a really,
but
really good deal.
Just talking about not taking advantage of people, I actually offered the guy a joint venture on it. I said to him, look, I'll buy it in a year's time, like a lease option type thing.
Yeah.
We'll do the paperwork. I'll buy it in a year's time off you. But in the meantime, I'll get all the refurb done. We don't have to pay any deposits. We don't have to get any finance sorted out. But I'll just pay for the refurb. And then in a year's time, we pay the refurb money back, and then we split profits 50-50. He wasn't up for that because he just wanted literally to sell it into pocket 160 grand. He could have got more money if he'd let me do it that way, but he wasn't into that. So
why did you offer him that then?
Just because I'm a nice person. Just because it then saved me having to raise the deposit money and all that sort of stuff. Because obviously,
if you want me to JV if you want it.
Oh, obviously I know that.
You're a nice person.
But listen, I was at a networking event. I'm not going to be like super hardcore at these events because I'm a nice person.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll me and you can do it. It's fine. I'm easy, man. Don't worry.
I know. Oh, there you go. Sorted. Just made 100k. Nice one. I got a decent deal. Do you know the offices that we're buying in Lichfield?
Yes.
So they're up for 1.7. Went round with the agent, and
1.7 million, just to clarify.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was thinking might be able to get it down to 1.5, maybe 1.6. Sort of, that's kind of what we're thinking. And it says the agent, what do they want?
Yeah.
Same as you. Again, you asked the question.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, well, obviously they want to get... I say, oh, come on. I said, what do they really want? What?
Chase.
And he said, well, to be honest, they've told me they want to get as close to 1.5 as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, Suddenly, it's like right now I'm thinking like, 1.3, 1.4, So I was like, okay, cool, 1.5 is possible. So he's not even really wanting to get 1.5. So for 1.7. So I put an offer in at 1.385.
Okay.
And they came back and said, look, you make it 1.4, we'll do it. I'm like, sorted.
Yeah,
all right, yeah, brilliant. So I got it for a lot less than we were expecting. Again, just by asking the question.
So can we give everyone a little tip, right? So do you know when you said to them, how much do they want? What did you do at that point?
I didn't. I just stopped talking.
Zip it. Honestly, awkwardness is brilliant. It's brilliant. When you put a price out
That's
there.
why we do this show.
It is, yeah.
It's just awkward the whole way through.
When you when you say, look, how much do you want for it? Don't then try and negotiate a price. Just say how much do you want for it, and just be quiet. There's a well-known saying in sales: the first person that speaks loses. So if you then said, how much do they really want for it, and then said, oh, would they maybe take 1.6? You've done yourself out a couple $100,000. But because you zipped it, you saved yourself a couple $100,000, which is a serious sum of money. Yeah. You buy another house with that, or up north, or in Hull, you could probably buy 5.
Yeah.
So it's a good lesson.
And sometimes the agents, if you go for an agent, can be like really, really honest with you. So like sometimes I've had the agents come to me and they've said, look, they've asked me to say this, and they've told me that this is their absolute minimum. Yeah. If you offer that, we can just cut it right now, and I'll go back to them tomorrow and pretend we've negotiated about it all day. They'll literally be that honest with you.
I love them sort of agents because they're straight to the point.
I'd never use them though.
I'd never use them to sell anything, but I'd use them to buy because they're straight to the point. They don't beat around the bush, because ultimately what you've got to remember is estate agents work on commission. They want a sale as quickly as possible so they get paid. So if they're going to hang out and wait for an offer of 1.6, it's not going to happen. Be another 6 months.
They want to sell it, don't they?
Of course they want to sell it. They want to sell it. So yeah, it's good.
It's better than the agents that don't do viewings though and don't show you around like a lot of agents.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's part of the sort of and the day-to-day life of an investor. You turn up for viewings and the estate agents fail to turn up.
And then the other thing I would say is and we talked a bit about this when we talked about auctions, but never be too emotionally invested in a property, even if you want it. I heard a story. I I know, love him or loathe him. Donald Trump, great negotiator.
Oh, fantastic, yeah.
He was talking about this property that he wanted to buy. It came up for 20 million, and he offered them 15. It was obviously quite BMV, and they were like, no. So he was like, fair enough. So then they had another sale that was going through, and then it fell out of bed after about 6 months. So he went back and said, and I'm making up the figures slightly now, I can't remember exactly, but he went back and said, I'll offer you 13 for it.
Yeah.
Right. And they were like, no. And he was like, okay. And then another deal went through, and after about a year, it fell out of bed. And he went back and said, I'll give you 10. And every time it fell out of bed, it was going on for a few years, because those sort of houses aren't easy to sell, are they?
No.
And every 6 months or so, the latest deal would fall out of bed. He'd go back and offer less. And in the end, he bought it for 5.
Wow, that's
and
brilliant.
He went back offered 5, and they were just like, just take
it, get it off our books. But that's great about how he's not desperate to buy it, is he?
No,
should never be desperate. To buy
he was
it,
desperate, really, but you can't ever come across desperate. And you need to get desperation and that out of your head, and it's just like, no, this is, if you need to be cold and calculated.
Do you know one thing I see a lot with estate agents when you're putting these offers in? They initially sort of decline your offer, and then they come back to you and say, look, we're going to do full and final offers. Have you ever heard this? But they do full and final offers. Well, what is your best offer? And that's your final offer. And I never ever up my offer. I always say you've had it. I've had an example. I had a property in the north. It was North Lincolnshire, and it was 85. It was on the market for 85, and I put an offer in a 68. And it was originally declined, but it'd been on the market for like 2.5 years. Declined offer. And I got that phone call. Look, can you put a full and final offer in? And I said, you've had my full and final offer at 68,500. And they said, are you sure you don't want to up it because we've got other investors? And I said, well, if that's the case, then why are you phoning me? I says, look, go back to your other investors. They're prepared to pay more for it. I've given you my final offer. Take it or leave it. We bought that property like 2 weeks later for the 68,500 because I think the estate agent was playing games. Because estate agents play games.
Well, they're not playing games. They're just negotiating from their point of view.
They're playing games because
it's not a game. They're trying to get the most.
Of course
money they are,
but it's a game. I think sales and negotiating is a game. So you just need to know how to play them back at it, and you have to be better at it than they are.
You have to be prepared to lose the deal.
Yeah, of course you do, and not phase you.
And not
but there's too many people. Like for instance, they come back and said we've got other investors on the table, and I'm like, well. The reality is, if they had other investors on the table, why has it been in the market for 9 months? Or it's been in the market for like 2.5 years, I think, actually. So why has it been in the market for so long? If they've got all these investors ready to buy it, then why is it not sold? So my point being is, when I put an offer in, stick to it. And so when she come back to me and said we've got other investors, they're probably talking out the backside.
Oh,
so you just need to know that. You need to know that
because they're trying to come across like they're the one in the power.
Yep.
But if you genuinely don't care, you're always the one in the power, and no matter what the situation is.
100%. Bearing in mind that if you're looking for deals, you'll always have lots of deals on the table. Like at the minute, Better Sourced have got probably 20, 30 deals on the table that we're looking at and negotiating on. I don't care if one of them doesn't come off. No. Don't give monkeys. I'll move on to the next one.
A lot of them probably won't come off.
A lot of them won't. Yeah, normally we work to like a 10% ratio.
That actually come off.
Yeah.
That's probably fair.
10% of the properties we view and
but then you buy
see acceptable.
So then you're buying a really good 10%.
Yeah.
So the key is you want to be out there making offers, viewing a lot of property, and to a degree, it is a numbers game.
Yeah.
Because you're not desperate. Yeah, you could pay over the odds and get one if you were desperate. Yeah, but why?
It's not a good deal then, is it?
It's not a good investment.
Also,
if you're buying for yourself, so with the Trump situation, to me, I wouldn't have done that because he really wanted that house.
Yeah.
So I'm not a cold enough, calculated enough investor to just keep going less.
But
I wouldn't have got it for 5 mil. I'd have probably gone at 15. They'd have said no. I'd probably gone 18 then. Do you know what I mean? Because I wanted the house.
No, but I don't believe that at all.
You don't believe that about me?
No, I don't believe that at all. I think you're a really good negotiator.
Yeah, I am, but not if it's
Was it? Oh, was this his personal house?
Personal house.
Right. Sorry, I thought it was like just another investment.
No,
right. I was going to say because like you negotiated the castle.
Yeah.
And you had your
I'm really
upper
good.
limit.
If it's an investment, I'm great. If it's my personal,
right,
I'm not because I want it. Then
yeah,
I get emotionally, which is the key.
Yeah.
The key is that don't get emotionally involved with it. But you can't help it if you. Well, I can't. If I'm going to live there and I really like it.
Yeah. You'll just pay it.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I will say, though, when you're putting offers in, you have to be specific. Like,
good point.
You have to be very specific.
Well, that's why I went back in with I said 13885.
I did notice 13850. Yeah, instead of 135 or whatever. Because generally, what happens is if you just say it's on the market for 100k and you say I'll give you 80, it's very likely they'll say we'll make it 90 and we'll call it a day. Whereas if you go in and say I'll give you 76,500, one, it makes them really think you've thought about it. I believe anyway, and secondly they'll probably come up to say well, make it 80 or 85 or 82 and a half, whatever. So just be specific about your offers, even if you just make it up in your head, it doesn't matter. But you want them to think that you've actually sat down and calculated it. So whenever I put an offer in, I always say pretty much the same things. Look, I've done my numbers, I've assessed what I think it's really worth and what we need to put into it, and I come back with this specific figure.
Yeah. So. Samuel's actually shared a few thoughts on what he thinks the sort of best tips are to get BMV deals. So why don't we hear that now?
If you're looking to get a really good deal, then what you need to be doing is you need to be finding motivated sellers and not being a motivated buyer. When emotions are high, intelligence is low. And when you are a motivated buyer, you're going to end up paying over the odds. So how do you find motivated sellers? It might be that they are maybe going through a problem. They might have just be having a divorce. It might be that they're about to go repossessed and the bank is going to take the house off them. So how do you find these types of motivated sellers? Well, they're everywhere. You can find them online. I really love a website called Gumtree. Next is tell everybody what you do. Tell the world that you are a property investor. Number 3, build relationships with estate agents. I think that a good relationship with an agent is a lot better than a good deal. And the more motivated sellers that you're dealing with at one given time, the less motivated you'll be because you've got lots of choices. So it's going to mean you can get even better deals.
So I hope you found that helpful and you can start going out and getting some really good BMV, below market value properties. We're now going to introduce you to one of our success students. Check this out.
Yep. You're a very successful businessman, property entrepreneur. I mean, how many property deals have you done in the last 12 months?
Right, so since I joined the academy, there were about 6 property deals. I flipped through some investors, through some companies, so 6 at the moment.
So you've done 6 property deals. You've also got a plumbing business.
Yes.
And when we met, it was going...
Yeah, I was on the point to close it.
It was. It was suffering a lot. What did you turn over last year?
It was 145k.
So you turned over £145,000.
Yeah.
And of that, what was your net percentage profit?
It was about between 20-25%.
And this year expected?
Based on our research and all the stuff, supposed to be double now this year.
Like $250,000.
Yes.
Dude, man, coming from Romania to England without speaking any English to now turning over that kind of money, $250,000, doing property deals. That is insane.
It is.
That is insane.
So in the news this week, there's been a story come out that Lloyds Bank have unveiled 100% mortgages.
Yep.
Go on, you cut me off then. You tell me.
Well, it's not a story, is it? It's factual. It's there.
Well, it's still a story. It's a news story.
Okay. Right, so the news story is this. Lloyds have unveiled 100% mortgage lending for first-time buyers. Now, that's not been seen since pre-2008.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, but that's... I think that's like that's massively sort of a help towards what happened in 2008. Anyway, Britain's biggest lender is to offer 100% mortgages to first-time buyers in return to lending last seen before the financial crisis, but only if the buyer has family that can stand behind the loan. So you do have to have a bit of a guarantor. Now the way it's going to work is it's called the Lloyds Bank Lend a Hand program.
So can you do this for investments or is it only for
first-time homes? It's not for investments.
Okay.
So basically, you can borrow up to £500,000, but you have to have a family member or close relative put 10% of that into a savings account within Lloyds.
Could you put 10% into a savings account?
It doesn't say yes or no to that, so I don't want to answer that question. But I don't see a massive.
Or would then they just if you've got 10% to put into a savings account, just put a deposit
It
down?
doesn't clarify that in the rules, so perhaps speak to Lloyds. But it basically.
Unfortunately, I'm not in a position where I'm a first-time buyer, so I won't be able to do this.
But you probably you would, because you are a massive advocate of rent where you buy. Rent where you live, buy investments. So you are technically a first-time buyer homeowner. You're not a first-time buyer investment property owner.
So I could do it.
I bet you could probably do this.
Well, maybe it would make sense to if I can,
because then
I have to type any money.
If you're not having to type
Could
any
I put
money,
my own money into a savings account.
Because the money still stays in a savings account.
Yeah.
So all you're doing is you put it in the savings account. You can't take the money out of the savings account, but it's in there. So it's not like it's tied. It's not. I know it's tied up in the sense you can't get to it.
Is the savings account in my name or is it in their name? Is this just a clever way of actually taking a deposit?
Look, it doesn't actually clarify. The advert's not 100% clear on things.
So you need someone. They don't have to lend you the money, but they have to be happy to lock that money away.
Yeah.
And what happens if they default on are they a guarantor for you as well? So if you default on your mortgage payment...
So let me just read what the Lloyds have said. So the Lloyds deal requires that a member of the family, such as a parent, grandparent or close relative, helps out. The bank will only grant the 100% mortgage if the family member puts a sum equal to 10% of the value of the property into a Lloyds savings account. The deal is structured so that the bank of mum and dad can help out their children, yet still keep control of their cash savings that they will need later in life. Lloyds will pay what is described as a market-leading interest rate of 2.5% on the money deposited. So you are getting a return on the money you put in the bank, which 2.5%, that's very good.
That is actually pretty good.
For a bank, it doesn't start with zero, so it's very good. So that's pretty cool. So Vim Maru, Group Director of Lloyds Banking Group, we are committed to lending 30 billion to first-time home buyers by 2020 as part of the pledge to help people and communities across Britain prosper. And the Lend a Hand program is one of the ways they're going to do that.
I'm sure that people can be creative and make some really very good uses of that.
So hold on. The Lloyds mortgage will be structured as a 3-year fixed rate deal priced at 2.99%. During the 3-year period, the family member who has deposited the money with Lloyds cannot access their cash. So yeah, that answers the question. They can't answer the question.
For 3 years.
Yeah,
then? That's not bad, is it? That is not a bad deal. So if you're an investor like me that hasn't bought where they live, I mean, you've only got it's only up to £500,000 for the house.
Up to 500,000, yeah, £500,000. So that's not. I mean, you can get a house for £500,000. Like even in London, you can buy a house for £500,000.
Yeah.
So that's good. I think that's really good.
Cool.
And it's only your money's only tied up. If going by this article, it's only tied up for 3 years.
It's certainly very much worth exploring, isn't it? Certainly
Yeah,
very
much.
worth exploring.
It's very interesting.
Right, it's now time for this. So this is the part of the show where we have a look at your questions, whether that's come through from Facebook or come through from Instagram or wherever it is, and we answer them and we answer them as best we can. So here's the first question. This has come from Robson Leach, and he says this. Would you recommend the process of buying property using buy-to-let mortgages, renovating them, releasing the equity from the property, then renting the property out? Yes.
Yes. Where have you been, man? Have you not seen any of the previous podcasts?
So that strategy called buy, refurbish, refinance, rent, or
refinance.
I can never do it. Yeah, I can never.
However,
do the rolling.
There is one thing I would alter to that. He mentioned about using a buy-to-let mortgage to buy it.
Okay.
Potentially, I would look at other means of finance because it will mean refinancing easier.
Yeah.
Things like bridging finance or cash or investor finance.
And you can actually agree everything up front, can't you?
Yeah.
We talked about that.
Kent Reliance do so you can get bridging and the mortgage all agreed beforehand before you buy it in the first place. So
Perfect.
That's cool.
So yes, Robson Leach, we would recommend that. Great strategy.
Yeah. Great strategy, yeah. Okay, Liam
we do that
McCarran.
ourselves. Go on. Sorry.
Liam McCarran. This guy actually messaged me to thank me because we answered his question last week as well. So you're getting your money's worth, man. So hi guys, have you got any tips when building your power team? What experience did you have when building trusted relationships in areas? Thank you. So, tips for building power teams.
Yeah, I would say go off recommendations.
Yeah.
And go with your gut to a degree. So don't just go, oh, it's a mortgage broker. Oh, there we go. Go and meet them. Go and sit and have a coffee with them. Have a chat with them. Ask them questions. See how they answer. See how they respond. Ask them things like, oh, okay, so what sort of clients do you have at the moment? And just kind of go with your gut to a degree. Kind of get a vibe, what you feel. You can kind of tell if someone's good. Just by talking to them.
If you were looking at a new area, say you've just created a new gold mine area, wherever that be. Let's just say it's in Liverpool. Okay, so you're a new investor. You're going to make Liverpool your area. What would you recommend they do like tomorrow morning? So they're going to go up to that area. What would be the first thing they do?
Well, what power team am I trying to build?
So I would say estate agents, letting agents.
What am I doing in Liverpool?
So say you're a HMO buyer.
I'm a HMO buyer.
Yeah.
So the first thing I would do is I'd make viewings on potential HMO properties.
Yeah.
So I could have a chat to the agents, explain to them what I was planning on doing, and finding out which ones are good at that. I'd make some appointments with some HMO managers.
Yeah.
And I'd go and again I'd sit with them and say, okay, what kind of areas work for you? And the other thing is about having a good power team like that is you can really pick their brains and they'll give you some very useful information about the area as well. So that's the very first thing I would do.
Yeah.
Is I'd make a load of viewings and speak with the HMO managers.
Excellent. Well, what I would say is people buy from people. People trust people. You're not going to build a power team sat behind your computer looking at Rightmove and looking online. You need to get out there, get into the area, get out there, meeting the estate agents, meeting lenders, meeting mortgage brokers, meeting solicitors, whoever you need to meet in that area, go and meet them. But do remember, your solicitor and mortgage broker don't need to be in the area you're choosing. So let's just keep it to like estate agent, letting agent, and a builder. Go and meet them. Just go and stand in front of them. Mm-hmm. You'll get a very good opinion and a very good feeling about that person.
Solicitor and whatnot. You do the exact same thing. Just doesn't have to be in Liverpool.
Yeah, it can be. They can be anywhere in the country
where you live.
So I would definitely go and meet them and stand in front of them, sit down, have a coffee,
and ask other investors for recommendations. Who do you use? So people that are doing well in the areas that you look in.
I would also recommend, whatever your area is, make sure you're a regular attendee at the local networking events. So if there's a local pin, go to the local pin. I would always do that as well.
If there's a local pick, or if there's a pick in Northampton, go to that one.
Yeah, if your area is Kettering or Northampton, get yourself along with the pick.
It's such a long way from here, though.
It's an hour, man. It went 10 minutes took me this morning.
And you were still late. So
yeah.
You got in really fast and we're still late. That's amazing.
Sorry, man.
That means you must have left very late. Oh, he's shut me off now.
It's just
next question. Quick.
Right, okay, so we have a question, which is quite a long question, and there's about 5 questions in here. And it's even longer than I thought. Right, okay, so Jessica, hey, Alistair and Russell, thanks for the podcast. I enjoy it very much every week. No problem. I'd like to ask about where do you usually find out about latest property market information and updates? So that's the first question. So where do we find latest property market?
We listen to this podcast.
Yeah, we listen to the podcast.
That's it. That's all we do.
That's it.
We just listen to this podcast and go, we said it. It must be true.
Yeah.
Next.
Any specific websites? www.propertyinvestorspodcast.co.uk. I don't think that exists, so I wouldn't go on there.
That doesn't exist.
But no, just like
in all honesty, most of the content, most of what we talk about, it comes from Samuel's YouTube channel.
Yeah,
that is the truth. And then we look on. So I'd go on Samuel's YouTube channel. He does like three videos a week.
Yeah.
But also, we're just kind of very much in the world, so we just hear it.
You've got to be in it. If you're in it, you know what's going on.
We go to all the events. We hang around with people. Everyone's talking about it. Neither of us are big on the news, actually. We don't really watch the news, follow the news. So maybe we should. Maybe you should, and then you can fill me in. I can't.
Yeah. Okay. How do you find out with enough time about an area where there will be huge demand or huge developments going on? Okay, so huge developments in areas. I would be looking at it's
been being in it. Part of it, isn't it?
A good tip, though. Jump on the likes of Premier Inn, all these big hotel chains, all these big Costa coffees. Find out where they're building properties and where they're building new restaurants, because they've done your market research for you. So that's one thing. Also council websites, they'll tell you about what's going on. Is it necessary to drive to become a local expert in an area? Yeah, I would always say you need to go to your area at least once or twice. You're not going to do this from behind a laptop. I'm sorry, you ain't going to. You're going to have to go to your area, get to know people in the area, And do it that way. And my last question, which is a long one. I'm going to the crash course in Peterborough. Excellent. Boom. See you there.
I won't be there. Sorry.
Russell's going to Germany.
No way.
Okay, so I'm going to be at the crash course in Peterborough, and I've booked into a place that likes a SA. Okay. But made out of rooms. Okay. It basically looks like a HMO and SA, but I wondered if that's possible.
What?
Hang about it. It doesn't make sense. My last question is, I'm going to the crash course to Peterborough, and I'm going to read exactly what you've said, Jessica. And my last question is, I'm going to the crash course to Peterborough, and I've booked in a place that's like an SA.
That's like an SA?
Right. Luxurious en-suites with kitchenette, but made out of rooms. Basically, it looks like a HMO to SA, but I wonder if that's possible. Well, clearly it is because you're staying in it. Apparently, they're called serviced suites. Okay. Never heard of that, have you?
Service suites.
It's just another word for a service apartment.
It's just it's just a room, basically.
So
it's like a studio. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. It's like a HMO. Yeah, that would work. I mean, you can do service accommodation where you literally just rent the rooms. The problem is, if you had a HMO, for example, and you want to rent it out as service to accommodation, which you can do, it's just the rents are very, very cheap. You're more talking like 30 quid a night because you can't, because they've not got an ensuite and they've got to share a kitchen. So it's great for builders and things like that, but you're just talking the very, very bottom end of the market. But you can do that. This sounds like an in between.
She did say it's luxurious with en-suites and kitchens, so maybe it's a HMO. And the rooms have all got en-suites and little kitchenettes.
Yeah, so it's like a really nice HMO. That would work, that's great. That's cracking.
You have to let us know how that is. Okay, apparently they're called service suites. What are the most profitable creative strategies other than the ones we all know about? The place turns out to be nicer and cheaper than lower standard hotels. Thanks a lot for your valuable information and sense of humour in the podcast. By the way, well done.
Talking to me at that point.
Well done, Russell, with the salsa. Excellent. Have a great day. Okay, so what's the most profitable strategy?
What
that we haven't talked about? I don't know. Can you let us know?
What's the most profitable strategy we haven't talked about?
What is the most profitable other than the ones we all know? Sorry. What are the most profitable creative strategies other than the ones we all know about?
Property development.
Big development.
Buying land, building houses.
Building houses and hotels. Just think of it like Monopoly. Buy 3 houses or 4 houses and buy a hotel.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool. So I think that is all the questions we've got today.
We look forward. One more. Yeah. Go on. You read it.
This was left on the YouTube channel.
Will you read it to us?
Go on, read it out.
Okay. It's not so easy.
Will they be able to hear you?
No, they won't.
Pass it me then. I'll read it.
It's Gooner Boy.
Gooner Boy. Nice. Arsenal fan. Gooner Boy. How easy is it to find a lease option deal?
I saw that last night. Yeah, I saw that yesterday.
How easy is it? It's not that easy, to be honest.
Well, I've found quite a few, and believe me, you're not going to find them on your computer. You need to get out and start and actually stand in front of of a vendor. You're not going to secure them any other way, I don't think. It's as simple as that. Hard work.
People, relationship building, just getting out there and being in the game.
It's hard work, but you've got to be in the game.
You've
got to be out there. You've got to be speaking to vendors and all that sort of stuff, and you've got to be doing that.
Agree. Well, look, guys, we're out of time. Thanks ever so much for tuning in. We will be back next week, Friday at 4 o'clock. Please tune in again. Do not forget to subscribe, share this video with all your friends, and we will see you next week.
See you later, guys.